the baseline for 2.
Is Isaiah Thomas coming to Golden State? Well, he is and he isn't. According to news sources, the former Boston Celtic is gearing up for a workout with the Warriors, and depending on how things work out, you might just see him suit up for the team behind Steph Curry next season. This is very interesting for a number of reasons. Does the name Chris Chiozza ring a bell? The Warriors, if you recall a video I did over a month ago, already signed Chris as a backup point guard, albeit on a two-way contract. The thought was that with Jordan Poole mostly a scoring type guard, a bit of help with facilitating would go a long way towards opening up his offensive game. This seemed to fill an obvious need for the Warriors. The Warriors then later worked out Darren Collison, which amounted to essentially nothing, and are now looking to work out Isaiah Thomas. So clearly the Warriors still feel they're missing something, and my guess is the Warriors have had one of the most interesting off seasons, and just when you think you've seen all their moves, something new comes out from far out of left field. They've moved on from players who didn't seem to have a future with the franchise in Eric Paschall and Kelly Oubre Jr., but have filled the ranks with talented rookies drafted in the lottery and savvy veteran role players who know what it takes to get the job done on the floor and win a championship. It is clear what the team's goal is this season, but what has not always been clear is how they plan on getting there. The move to get Isaiah Thomas in for a workout, while it doesn't make much sense on paper, starts to make a little more when you look at what the Warriors have been lacking, the issues the team came across last year, and weaknesses that might not be as apparent now as they may be later. Take for instance the issue of injuries. Now, Thomas himself hasn't exactly been a beacon of health, but the level of play he brings to the floor when he's available is rather good for an extra body on the floor. The Warriors ran into this very issue of not having enough players on the team and played shorthanded for most of the season. This type of issue further exposes the depth of the team, and with IT's experience, there's still a good amount of talent remaining on the team vying for minutes, which leads me to the next issue the Warriors had, which is scoring off the bench. Isaiah is a spark plug scorer. He can come off the bench and get hot in a tizzy as long as he can find the spots. He did, after all, drop 81 points in a Pro-Am game, which, while it isn't anywhere near NBA standards, is impressive nonetheless. Make no mistake, if the Warriors put him on the roster, it is mainly for his ability to get the ball in the basket. That is not to say he can't find his teammates as well. Thomas is averaging 4.9 assists per game over his career. However, his last meaningful time with a team saw him put up 3.6 assists in 23 minutes over 40 games played with the Washington Wizards. IT is still only 32 and will be turning 33 in February of next year, so while he's not in his prime, he's got a few good years left on the court. While these are all very good reasons for the Warriors to pick up Isaiah, there are obviously some reasons not to. Like, for example, the fact that the Warriors already signed Chris Chiozza, who, while he's on a two-way contract which isn't available for Isaiah, leaves much less space for an additional point guard. The Warriors already have Gary Payton, who arguably has a more desired skill set with the team as it is. Signing IT also conflicts with the development of Poole, and it would mean that Payton doesn't get a contract and Mulder gets to go down from the 15-man squad to a two-way, which means less minutes for Mulder. Wait, that's not a bad thing. To add to that fact, Thomas is only 5'9". This puts him in a category of very small compared to your typical guard, much less NBA player, and while his size is somewhat of a hamper on its own, it's not the worst thing for a basketball player. What's worse is having two guys at 5'9" or less at guard, and that is a potential hazard from this particular signing. Imagine having a backcourt with Steph and Klay sitting in the second quarter after dusting the Lakers in the first, and we're up by 20. Then, for some reason not known to man, Steve Kerr puts both Thomas and Chiozza on the floor. The next 120 seconds until Kerr calls timeout would be a complete and utter disaster. From the Lakers playing keep away and quite literally launching lobs, starting a layup conga line and massacring the Warriors' second unit, and with no other option, both IT and Chiozza careen themselves into the air, hanging on to the necks of the closest Laker for dear life with Ludacris banging in the background.
Like a midget is hanging from my necklace.
Until the refs blow the whistle and the state of Florida deems the Warriors medically unfit to play basketball for the next 30 days. That would be a bad day. It then goes without saying that defensively, this would put the Warriors at a significant disadvantage. Isaiah's size has much to do with the difficulty he's been having with signing a contract with a team, and potentially pairing him with another player of similar or less stature is room for disaster. as if the Warriors weren't already much smaller than their opponents last year. The fact of the matter is that the reason they are giving him a workout is to leave no stone unturned. As opposed to just signing IT to a contract, the Warriors are giving him a chance to show that he can do more than any one individual we have on the 15-man roster. Considering there aren't that many spots available, we can only assume that this would be as a replacement for Michael Mulder, who is actually listed as a point guard. This would in turn leave Gary Payton high and dry, Poole competing with IT, Moody, and Lee for minutes, which I would normally say is good for the team in the short term, but the size difference alone makes it almost impossible to see a scenario like this benefit the Warriors for more than a couple of months. While Isaiah is no Brad Wanamaker, he increases the depth of the team, and until that final spot is locked down, the Warriors will continue to seek out their options and try to find someone to fill that spot. Whether it ends up being Isaiah Thomas or someone else, that remains to be seen. In my opinion, the Warriors might be better off using that spot on a center, and DeMarcus Cousins is available and dirt cheap. There are rumors floating around that the Warriors should consider Marc Gasol, but the last thing we need are the Lakers leftovers. No offense to Marc, but he had his hands full with James Wiseman last year.
Always see the ball. Because I got you in open space against Marc Gasol. I like that.
And I doubt he will make the Warriors better, especially considering we have Bjelica. A big body protecting the rim for the Warriors solves a lot of problems, and we just don't have that at the moment. Let me know what you guys think of the Warriors getting IT for a workout in the comments below, and if you agree or disagree with my assessment. Don't forget to like the video, share the content, and subscribe to stay up to date on the latest from the Golden State Warriors. Till next time, swish.
I block so hard, Smitty get served. Call me Lonzo Ball, bitches get swerved.
Usually I don't get down with these girls, but tonight it's on my mind, so I might eat these words. I just wanna watch